what you have to focus on is that you're improving, not that you're not there yet. If you keep yourself only improving, you're only going to get better. And it's better because you're already good. It's not better because you're at the bottom of a pit and you're trying to climb out. The part that stands out the most to me is in due time. It's not, humble yourself, tell God what you're going through, and he's going to be like, yep, you got it, let's do it. It's never going to happen like that. At the very best, maybe you pray before it was meant to happen, and then it happens very shortly after. But in due time, because it's going to be on that schedule that it needs to be. You need to cast your anxieties on him because he cares for you and because he knows what to do. He knows what direction to go with your anxieties. And sometimes anxiety is a healthy thing. Sometimes if you're stressed about something, you are more prone to improve it. So don't always see anxiety as some kind of curse. If you sit in your room with the blinds closed and you just scroll TikTok or whatever people use, I don't know, I'm not hip anymore, and and you live vicariously through these people, it's not healthy. It's enjoyable, but it's not healthy. And when you admit that to yourself and you say, okay, so I'm feeling depressed, I don't want to go outside, I don't want to do the things that I used to get so much enjoyment from, that's a really defeating recollection. It's something that people figure out and then they go, okay, well, I don't know how to fix that, so I'm just going to keep doing it. We become so invested in fictional characters. Why some of us read books, some of us watch TV shows, movies. It's because we want to live vicariously through these people because we're not happy with our own lives, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. There's absolutely nothing wrong with having an imagination and wanting to live in a fake little world and get away from your own problems, but it is something that you'll have to address. And I think it's the hardest in high school. High school is awful too. Middle school's awful, high school's awful. I don't like school. I never did. I don't enjoy it. But the difference between middle school and high school is that middle school is, mentally draining. High school is physically, mentally, and spiritually draining. High school feels like it takes everything out of you. And by the time you get home and you've had a long day, you don't want to crack open the Bible and pour yourself some green tea. Like, you're going to want to do something that, well, maybe that makes you feel good. I don't know. But you're going to want to do something that's instant gratification, makes you happy, stuff like that. And those habits aren't healthy. And I think that the one way to get through depression, the same way that you can get through anxiety, is by just listening to God. I think that a lot of us will pray to God and ask for things, but that we're not very prone to actually listening to the response. And it's hard to listen to it. It's not like he's going to send you a text. Like, you're going to have to just see what feels right and go with it. And I know that's putting a lot of trust in something that you can't see, but that's the entirety of faith. That's exactly what faith is. There is no faith if you don't put trust in something that you can't see. I think that depression and anxiety, it just needs to be understood that that's not given to you by God. God has no part in that. It's entirely the devil. And however you see the devil, some people don't see the devil as Satan, as a little dude with horns or whatever. But the world is broken. And it's the same reason that high school is so tough, is that the world is broken. The world wasn't meant to be this way. It was meant to be pure. And I think that the devil giving us anxiety and depression is something that we can fight off. It's tough, but we can fight it off if we have God.
And then there's the whole statistic of this generation deals with the most mental problem, highest levels of anxiety and depression and stuff.
Right.
But then that's when you see the increase of like vaping or reliance on drugs or alcohol, self-medicating.
Yeah.
it seems like it's only getting worse, even though like this contradiction of speaking out against it, but then like the glorification of sadness.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it's almost seen as edgy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
It's like I want to kill myself, yeet. Like it's just, I don't know. And I get that. Like, unfortunately, I kind of have that sense of humor. Like I understand that. And self-medicating, absolutely. And that's what I did for so many years. I think the majority of people who abuse drugs, they either didn't get that love that they needed, or they're always unhappy with themselves. I've met very few people, and I've met a lot of drug addicts that have come to me and been like, yeah, I abuse drugs, and like I just love myself. Like I am so happy with the life I'm living. I'm absolutely thriving. Like, no, you're not. You're pretty miserable. Is that it doesn't say once you start suffering, after you have suffered a while. So you'll see this a lot in the majority of all Bible verses that have anything to do with anxiety, depression, struggles. All of it's going to be the same. Is that nothing's going to be immediate. Nothing's going to feel like it's just fixed like that. Things are going to be awful. Like, life is really tough. And at least for me, from my experiences, it feels like every time that something has started to get better, whether my parents start getting along better, or I am able to wean off of a drug that I was abusing, and now I'm just on nicotine. Whatever it is, you'll always have almost relapses on depression and relapses on anxiety. When things start to feel better, you'll feel like you sink back down. And it's because life has ups and downs. Life is never just going to be a steady, linear slope up, getting progressively better. And, it sounds like I'm preaching at you, but I'm not any better now. I still have ups and downs. I've spoken in front of 5,000 people. This is 15 times more terrifying. I can see your eyes, and that's just terrifying to me. So, things are hard. Life is hard, and high school doesn't make things better. There's a stigma around high school that you have to be perfect. You have to be this cookie-cutter person. If you're a freshman girl, you have to act like this. If you're a sophomore boy, you have to act like this. And there's a certain way. There's trends. Holding yourself at this level where the only way you're content is if you fit in is awful. There's no benefit in fitting in. And when you're out of high school and you're like me and not in college, then you have all the time in the world to sit around and try to figure out what you missed in high school life-wise. Or if you are in college, you have a little less time, but you still have time to sit around and figure out what you missed. And even though I personally wasted, 6 to 8 years of my life on drugs and alcohol, trying to fit in with people who are older than me, trying to constantly climb this invisible social rank, it doesn't have to be that. But comparing yourself to other people who are completely fake, either fictional or just photoshopped and fake, will make you hate yourself. And I think that way too many teenagers hate themselves. The percentage of teenagers who are depressed or anxious, and the percentage of teenagers who commit suicide is like 5 or 6 times more in this generation than people who were born in the early 90s. Like that's huge. And I think it's being ignored, and I think that if we make it clear to people that when you turn things to God, He will situate them. He will.
Amen.
Then we'll all kind of be able to change that statistic. And I don't want any of you guys to be a statistic. I don't want any of y'all to fall into that pit of depression or fall into that repetitive anxiety where small things make you nervous and you're too afraid to go outside with your friends because you might say something wrong, or you don't want to present in front of the class because, like, what if you sneeze? Like, just small things. But everybody's issues are only as big as the worst thing they've seen. So just because somebody tells you that you cracking your phone is not a big deal, there are people in Africa who are starving, you're not in Africa. So it's different. Everybody's issues are compared to the worst thing they've seen. If you have literally witnessed murders in Detroit and you crack your phone, you're probably like, it's okay. You know, worse things have happened in life. There's only one perspective of you that matters, and it's God's, and God's is always going to be that you're his child. And that's really hard to believe. And I think that if any of you are able to believe that, and you don't have to go and give a Bible message every lunch break at school. Like, you don't have to do that. But if you're able to put yourself in a position where you're cool, confident, and you have strength in God and not strength in any earthly materials or things, I really, really have confidence that you're going to do well in high school.